Hello and happy Friday. We are continuing to social distance here at 346 Portage Avenue. It is Friday, June 5th, and we would like to welcome you back to our episode 11 of our Facebook Live from the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Young People. Today we will be talking about article number 15. You have the right to voice your opinion and to protest peacefully. We thought this was quite fitting with the previous week's incidents and the upcoming peaceful protest tomorrow that is set to happen here in Winnipeg. I'm going to let Cheryl open us up today with our prayer and our acknowledgement, but really looking forward to having some discussions about this particular right.
Bonjour. Ask Creator that you take care of each and every one of us here at the office, our families, and our community at large. Please take care of all the people that are having a hard time with the recent events, having a hard time with COVID. Just take care in general. Today's teaching about the buffalo will help us with that teaching on respect. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I ask Creator with this tobacco that you watch over each and every one of us. Don't forget to pray. Don't forget to take care, to have that balance, and to be able to understand. You can restart at any time. That is a teaching about respect, language. So I'll say the land acknowledgements. The Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth wish to acknowledge that we are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the beautiful homeland of the MACY Nation.
My name is John. I am a Youth Engagement Coordinator here at MACY with Kathy and Cheryl, and I'm just happy to be here this week. No technical difficulties, anything going on. Just want to mention the Youth Ambassador Advisory Squad, who does great work with us every week. We meet with them, and again, we always say this, but they really do blow us away every week with the things they say and do, and it's really a privilege to get to work with such smart youth and be able to hear the voices of these youth, because it just shows great promise for the future and the future generations that are coming so educated and so passionate about the right causes. So thank you, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, I believe that they're full of hope. You know, if we don't have hope for the future, what do we have? Mm-hmm. You know? And I believe that the youth bring that for future generations. So I start with the buffalo.
Let's do it.
Okay. The buffalo sits in the west, and he represents respect. In all of life, respect is the first and the foremost teaching that you will understand. You will learn to respect yourself, and then respect for others. You will learn balance and care. Respecting oneself and respect will be given back. At first, you will not understand it, you will not see it, but you will feel it. Example, treating your body with respect. If you take good care of itself, example, if you give it good food to eat. And I'm not talking about McDonald's. I'm talking about berries, I'm talking about fish, soul food. If you give your body good food, regular sleep, exercise, and a well-balanced lifestyle, that shows you are taking respect. You're putting good things into your body. On the other hand of that spectrum is if you have poison and toxins, you put those into your body will turn on itself. Your body will know how to destroy itself. So we don't want that. We want that respect. We want that good stuff to be able to put in little increments, baby steps when you're learning about respect. The buffalo teaching. I love the buffalo. The buffalo stands on guard to remind us of respect. Respect all life on Mother Earth. Respect elders and all ages of life, for every life on earth is sacred, coming from the Creator. The essence of respect is to be able to give and to share. The buffalo shows respect by embodying how it gives of itself to the people. It used every part of its body for food, clothing, shelter, and weaponry. Everything was used on that buffalo, and that shows respect in terms of being able to understand there was a need and they used that. So they have that as gifts. So I have a lot of things here. I have my buffalo rattle for my cap. We understand, and being respectful comes in many different ways. So I want everybody to think about how more can you be respectful in a kind way. So that's what I want you to ponder today. No calls.
So, speaking of respect, we'll get into the UNCRC, so the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. This was ratified within Canada. This is a legal binding agreement. These 42 rights are applicable to all youth and all children in Canada. They are not optional, they are set. So these 42 rights are very important. If you want, on the downloadable version is on our MACY website, the UNCRC poster. It's in youth-friendly language. So you go to our website, it's under resources. So it's manitobaadvocate.ca. Under the resources, there is a printable version, and I recommend anybody printing it out to have around for children to read and just look over and really understand, what the rights and wants are. Wants are things that you want every day, but rights are really something that, again, aren't optional. These are things that are legal and that every children and youth should have in Manitoba. So I will pass this to Kathy now.
So thanks, John. As John said, he talked about the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children, and that all young people are entitled to these. These are not, again, wants. These are things that you're entitled to. Today's two rights really speak to your right to protection against discrimination and your right to fair treatment in the justice system, and your right to protest peacefully, to voice your opinion. So with that said, Article 15 states you have the right to voice your opinion and protest peacefully. What does that mean? I think it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. John and Cheryl and I have had the, again, beautiful privilege of meeting with our young people, talking to them, outside of our meetings. And I've done a lot of check-ins this week with young people with respect to just what's going on around us. And the common theme that I'm getting is social media is being flooded with the imagery of what's happened with George Floyd. We've been following the protests, and our kids have been. It is all over the media. So one of the things that they would like to share with other young people is, while it's important to understand and to have awareness and to gather and gain that knowledge, they want you to take a message away from that says they also need you to be looking at the positives from those messages. They talk about how overwhelming it is to have it every second of the day on their phone, on social media, on TV. They spoke about just the difficulty in not only viewing those types of videos, but in trying to determine really what it was they were going to head out and protest against or for, peacefully, of course. So we talked a lot about racism, about systemic oppression. We talked about colonization. We had some really great, difficult conversations this week that I'm glad we had. And I think sometimes we don't talk about the hard stuff. So it is important that we're opening our hearts, opening our minds, and looking at what our perspective is and how we are going to support. Article 2 states that you have the right to protection from discrimination. This led to a lot of conversations around protection from discrimination. What is it, and how do we make sure that we're supporting our next generations to move away from discrimination, to make sure that we can work together as a community. When we talked about going tomorrow or attending or participating, one of the biggest discussions was, what are we protesting? And so we've come to agree that the protests are really for racial equality, for an end to discrimination, regardless of occupation. One of the interesting things that came from these conversations really was that a lot of these videos and images were really triggering many of our young people across Manitoba, Winnipeg especially. It was triggering them with memories of incidents that they have had with adults in their life, not just policing, but other adults in their life that we were tasked with supporting them, that they maybe felt let them down. So protection from discrimination, we really have to think big. We are all equal. Cheryl talked about the wolf teaching last week, which was really, really fitting. And it's really, really fitting now because that teaching shows that we are all equal, that no one person is better than another person. Cheryl talked last week about being kind and remembering that even in times of fear and uncertainty, we are still able to come together as a community. So that's what I'm really hoping that this peaceful protest on Friday is. I hope it is an opportunity for our community to come together and deliver the message in a way that is understood and heard by all. Because oftentimes it is how we deliver a message that can make the biggest difference. So imagine delivering that message in unity, together as a community, peacefully. With that said, we talked a little bit about Article number 40, which is you have the right to legal help and fair treatment from the justice system. Advocates are here to support and to work with you and to walk beside you to make sure that these rights are protected. So if you are involved in the justice system or the legal system and you need support to navigate that, our office is here for you. Article 13 states that you have the right to learn and share information as long as it doesn't harm others. One of the conversations that came from that was really about the right to share information. So while we respect everybody's freedom to post, I think oftentimes what we're missing is that those posts can be hurtful and harmful. So how do we look at supporting one another, supporting the right to learn and share information, but making sure we're doing it in the kindest way possible? During the last few months with COVID, we've all really been forced to kind of self-isolate, social distance, but really to go into ourselves. And then this has happened, which is just an added stressor. One of the things I think is the service providers, we have to really look at our young people and understand how difficult this time is for them. As adults, it's difficult for me. I can't find my normal half the time. I'm struggling to find a normal. So this added tension and stress is extremely trying on not only myself but my family and our kids. I want to support as best I can. But Cheryl talked about the Buffalo teaching and the respect, and you need to hear that. You need to respect yourself first. So it's like the love teaching, it starts inside.
Mm-hmm. And one thing also about respect is that it is 24/7, 365. It's every day, all day, wherever you go. You don't put it on like a hat. Mm-hmm. It's who you are, your actions, your beliefs, even your words. They're all tied to your identity and your balance. So you really have to remember that. And it gets easier. But when we're dealing like you're talking about such a stressful time, so just to remember that you have that respect and you will feel it. You know that compassion. It will become compassion, love, and kindness. Kind words, kind actions.
And one place you can come to get that respect and that love and that unconditional support would be the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth, MACY. So we have here a picture of one of our MACY staff, honorary MACY staff, working at home during the COVID crisis and pandemic, but we are slowly getting back in the normal. We're getting slowly back to our offices being open. So there are advocates here that are actually taking phone calls right now. So if anybody has any concerns, questions, fears, really we want you to call. We're not going to name specific examples because at the end of the day, we don't want people guessing. Should I call the Manitoba advocate or not? Our advocates are here and they will help you. They do care, they respect, and you will get that support if you are going to phone us. So please do. We definitely are here for that. I want to just quickly run through the listening tour. We have the online survey. Speaking of respect, this is a way for us to respect youth and their voice. So the online survey, if you are a youth 15 years and up, please go and fill this out. This survey is very important. It's allowing youth to tell us what's going wrong in their communities, what's going right in their communities. And also, I think the best part is letting us know that for the things that are going wrong or things that are affecting youth negatively, how a youth would solve it, how they feel like they would solve it. And then we can go ahead and use your voice and try and amplify that voice to make that change for you. I want to share the www.nctr.ca. They have a ton of great information for youth care providers and just for anybody in general. Anybody that knows about the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation and the work they're doing is amazing. It's very important for all Canadians, whether a newcomer or not. It's something that we need to share. We need to continually share, and we need to educate one another on Canada because you know what, we're not so far different. We do have discrimination concerns and racism and things like that is in our history and that is currently in our present that we deal with. Our children deal with it daily. So I think it's very important that we educate one another on the past so we can learn and then improve for the future. And thanks to Cheryl, I was able to find as well the unicefyouth.com/racism. So for any adults out there that wish to talk to their kids and children and youth about racism, how do you educate youth? Because in my opinion, it should start from when a youth is this little. I can't really see the picture, but down there, right?
It's big.
There's no age limit to teaching about discrimination and racism. So for any adults out there that wish to have those hard conversations with really young children as well, this is a good tool. Go to their website. There's a lot of useful information, and there's plenty of other information along the across the websites as well. Just again about having that discussion and how do you talk to children and youth and help them and educate them, because it's our YAAS members and other youth that are going to be building tomorrow. And what does that tomorrow look like? So for me, that tomorrow looks like a world without racism, without discrimination. And to me, that's not an idealistic approach. That's a realistic approach, because there's no reason why we can't beat this with proper education and knowledge sharing with our children and with one another. So these are two very useful resources. So thank you, Cheryl, for finding this one for me.
You know, that's a good point that you said that about being young. I remember my mom and dad, we lived in a small community in Manitoba here, and they taught us the golden rule. And the golden rule is, what is it called? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And for that, for me, my mom explained it in such a way that if you're nice to people, they're nice to you. You know, and that respect was taught at a very young age in a time. Things have changed a lot now, and there's different things going on. But if that is still the same in doing the kindness, the being able to extend that being able to communicate in a good way, in a kind way, you know, and then that dialogue is opened in a slow but steady manner.
So that actually leads me to another conversation that I had with one of our youth ambassadors, where we talked about how to manage the emotions and the stressors related to kind of racism and this part of the week. One of the messages that came out of that really was making sure that you find some peer support or some adult support and to have the conversations I think that part of our issue is we don't like to talk about the hard things, but we need to talk about them. Respecting opinions. Again, during a demonstration or a protest, there are many, many differing opinions that will be at, within the community. So Cheryl, when she talks about the buffalo and the respect, again, because your opinion may not meet that of another individual, it doesn't mean it's right or wrong, right? We want to be able to respect all those opinions. We talked about how passionate our young people are about mobilizing change and how passionate they are about ending racism and discrimination. That passion will lead to action. And that's where we need to be really mindful of our actions, because depending on our actions, those can lead to anger. So if we're looking at taking that passion and driving it, moving it into the action phase, but being extremely mindful that it is how we go from there. So if we can do that in a respectful way, if we can do that without desperation, that's another key word that came up, was desperation. Why is this happening? And one of the young people I talked to said it is desperation. They have been, they have been working towards trying to make this change, and they are becoming desperate because this change is not coming fast enough or quick enough. I'm with John when it is really common sense. It should have been. It's common sense, but please, when you're out there and you're doing this work, because I know our young people are passionate and they will be the ones to change the world. Just be really mindful of delivery of messages, and it's okay to be passionate. Just don't let it end up in desperation or anger. Let it end up in action.
Yeah. The last thing that I have to say is that I remember this daycare teacher teaching kids saying, when there's anger, there's one letter away from danger. So dial it back, start over again, stay safe. Your words, be kind. And teaching at that age level, to be able to carry that is a strong foundation builder. To be able to understand what respectful dialogues, respectful words, helpful hands, we have various teachings at different levels, whether it be at daycare, whether it be in home, whether it be, and we're all good teachers. So as adults, we're modeling that respectful behavior, those respectful actions, and it's a process, but it is there. People, and I really trust our kids because I feel and see hope. That belief and that power for change is there. They're going to get it done in a good way. Yeah.
So actually, that's my shout out today. Is I want to thank each and every one of the young people I've been able to have conversations with over the last 2 weeks. I've been really struggling with this, and I have to tell you that these conversations, this honesty, as difficult as they have been, I appreciate every word we have shared. I appreciate all of the knowledge that you've shared with me, all of the advice. And I can honestly say, I know John says we have the opportunity to work with the most amazing group, but in a time of crisis, in a time where there's so much fear and uncertainty, I want to thank everybody that has taken the time to just share with me, because I think together is far easier. It's easier to get through this together than it is alone. So thank you for being there, for allowing me to be there, allowing me to hear your thoughts and share your feelings. So my shout out today is to all the young people out there who have been working tirelessly, whether it be in their brains, on their phones, to really try and bring awareness to it and to try and make sure that their passion isn't confused by anger and that their messages are getting out there, because the most beautiful things I've seen this week have come from our young people. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you for joining us again this week. I want to challenge all the children and youth out there, or any youth care providers, anybody watching this right now. I challenge you to not stay silent, and in any small way you can, just show people around you. It doesn't have to be on social media, but just make it known that you are against racism and discrimination, and you're about equality for everybody. Because if we all step up and do our own even little parts, I think it can make a very big difference in the end.
Yeah, I'm reminded of that Sweetgrass braid, mind, body, and spirit. And braided together, you're stronger together. You know, don't stand alone, stand together. Message is clear.
Thank you.
Be safe.